We do need men, though.
We don't need them.
We do.
No, because they're lesbians.
Who do you call to get your car fixed? A man or a woman? Your toilet breaks down. Who do you call?
So I fix my own car.
Your power supply. Who runs it? Who runs the infrastructure of society? Men or women?
Oh, at the moment, men, obviously,
Yeah,
because of patriarchy.
so
I'm obsessed with being a woman in a male-dominated industry. I do all of my own carpentry.
Can we go back
I do all
to
my own, like...
Right, but regardless of that, like, you agree that men run the infrastructure, so therefore
at the moment, men run the world.
We need men.
On a wider scale, yes. On a personal scale, no. Because you don't need a man to provide for you.
We need men to run the industries that keep us alive and well.
Not necessarily, no.
So,
because I know female mechanics, engineers, carpenters.
But remember that's exception. Like, those industries are like 99% male.
Yeah, but for now, we can change that.
Do we want to change that?
This is going to really piss the feminists off, but I'll tell you it's the truth. It doesn't matter whether a woman wants to be a lawyer or a housemaker or a webcam girl. Unless she has a man directing her, she's going to fuck it up. They're just not built to be completely independent creatures. The women who go, I'm strong and independent, you're working for a man in a company and you're getting fucked by 10 men a month. You're not independent.
Welcome to Manfulness. So today, let's talk about something that I've always thought about but never really got to an answer. Can a woman truly exist and survive without a man? And I don't mean this in a dire, life or death kind of way. Would they still be able to live their lives as they do now if the males in their lives were no longer there? How would society change if men were completely self-sufficient and did not need the support or acknowledgement of women in any way? What if all men decided to go their own way and did not care how women would survive without them? In line with this premise, we can also assert that women would be completely independent of men and wouldn't need to be subject to any sort of control by social or cultural systems. If all males decided they were done with women and would have to live alone, it would really change the way women live. Do you believe they could still achieve on their own, or do you disagree with that statement? Let's investigate this further to learn the solution and see whether women may be strong and independent without men. I don't find many instances of women who have truly lived and thrived independently if I look at the examples around me in popular culture, which include novels, movies, television series, and even myths and legends. Yes, they have prospered as a result of utilizing the tools a man has introduced into her life, but not via her own diligence and determination. If I consider unmarried women, their entire existences are devoted to attempting to attract the interest and approval of the guys they find attractive. Additionally, they make better use of the man's time, effort, and resources when they are in a relationship with him. If I look at married women, they rely largely on their husbands to pay for almost everything, including rent or mortgage payments, utilities, food, petrol, clothing, vacations, medical care, insurance, and other expenses. They still rely on their spouses for the majority of things, even though they are successful working mothers. And if I look at single divorced women, they typically rely on the funds provided by the law to support themselves and their kids. These are resources that a former husband typically sends. Women cannot function freely without men, at least not in my environment or from the people I know or have seen. But I'm quite interested to know why this occurs. Why are women so dependent on men if they are equal to men and can perform all tasks that men can? Perhaps it has to do with the gender-specific expectations that are put forth by a society. Perhaps males are always expected to provide the resources while women are expected to raise the children. However, the majority of women do not subscribe to this viewpoint. They believe that the cosmos and nature have given them considerably greater responsibilities than just raising children. They are expected to make crucial decisions for massive corporations, manage the government, combat crime, become commanders and security personnel, and serve as ministers. But will a female pastor still require men in her life if they become all of those things? Or even by becoming a minister, she will still have a need for a husband or a partner to help with chores in the house? But if these women are so successful in their careers, and even if they believe they don't need men, will they keep on living like this for the rest of their lives? Let me tell you something, it is one of the saddest things I have ever witnessed, seeing an elderly homeless woman forced to live on the streets. She will probably receive support from a person or a government agency, but it is obvious by her presence on the streets what her situation is. Most of the time, it's because she was ultimately obstinate and believed she could have done it on her own without being subject to a man's direction and control. That is usually the case since many of these women, especially in this day and age, would rather chase hardship than a guy who would watch after her, provide for her, keep her safe, and prevent her from ruining the family. I've observed throughout the years that this is the truth for women who find themselves in difficult circumstances. The other reason why some women end themselves without a home and a status in society is usually related to drug usage, making poor life decisions on their own, or just experiencing a horrific occurrence like their home catching fire. Because of this, I agree with the notion that you shouldn't feel sorry for women when you come across them in trying situations. Too often, people will save women simply because they are female without taking into account what put them in that situation or choosing to ignore it. Every day, people pass through homeless men without giving them a second thought. To prove that I'm not a hypocrite, I do it too. However, I react similarly when I see homeless women or hear a woman sob saga about her impending financial downfall. You might be wondering how I can be so heartless and cold. Well, I used to work with the government and it was my job to listen to people's sob stories 5 days a week for the entire year. Therefore, I don't care and won't help these people. I know that they put themselves there 9 out of 10 times by being rebellious and not investing in relationships with men. When you begin to understand the rationale behind most of their accounts of why they required assistance and how they were in their current situation, you begin to recognize patterns in human behavior and come to the conclusion that the majority of them were foolish. Listen carefully, gentlemen. The majority of women are in financial shambles because of poor choices they made when they were young. Choices that continued well into their middle age and beyond. I've witnessed it repeatedly, and an example of this would be a teenage girl who got pregnant by a stereotypical bad boy with a bike and tattoos covering his arms. Now the father, who is a teenager as well with a really bad attitude, is not going to take care of the newborn. After a few years, this girl will become pregnant for another man, giving birth to 2 children on her own without the assistance of a father. Women tend to act in this way because they lack long-term thinking skills, which makes it difficult for them to function in situations where males are the dominant gender. Now, it's not fair of me to keep talking about one side and ignore the other. So now, let's look at it from another perspective. Do men need women to survive the way that women need men? If men lost interest in women, what would happen? What effect would it have on these ladies in the end? First and foremost, we need to understand that women have only advanced to this degree because men have taken care of and protected them. Without women, we actually cannot procreate and would have long since gone extinct as a species, therefore without them, we wouldn't have lasted to the year 2022. Aside from the biological necessity for men and women to procreate and for women to care for and raise the offspring, men do not at all need women to survive if they do not want to. Women have caused more destruction to men on an individual level than if that man was left to his own devices and to his own habits. This is because a woman, without a man, cannot bring stability to a house like a man does. And since women don't think long-term, they can sometimes make choices that have detrimental effects on the family system. There's a lot of biology and psychology to this as well. If you look at single mothers, you will realize that she cannot play both the roles of a father and a mother. She might be an excellent mother, but she will still need someone to come and fill the shoes of the father, so that the children have an authority figure to look up to. Someone who can provide for them, care for them, protect them from accidents, natural disasters, getting bit by an insect, and any and everything else. Also, men have an innate want and need to build things. Throughout the history of mankind, men have built homes, shelters, buildings, roads, bridges, and weapons to advance in life and provide for their families. Women have, throughout history, been the protectors of her children, lovers of their husbands, nurturers of children including those of others, and healers, and comforters. Do you get the point? Men have stayed true to the roles given to them by nature. Women haven't. Women have never been content with their role throughout the history of mankind because they have wanted what the men had. Power, control, authority, leadership. And now, we've come to a point where women are increasingly taking over jobs that were previously associated with men, such as CEO or Prime Minister. That is not an issue. The issue is that women don't understand that if they were aligned with their true nature, or what the universe had intended for them, they would live much better, healthier, happier, and fuller lives. They wouldn't have to compete with men. They wouldn't have to suffer like men do. And men do that with pride. Women do that with a lot of complaining. Men never attempt to act like women. They are in harmony with their nature. They keep things simple and uncomplicated. Men require women for various reasons. As prejudiced as it may sound, men require women in order to procreate and engage in intimate activity. Then, as they suffer and struggle to support the woman and the child for the rest of their life, they require women to raise the children. Males still behave in that way now. They don't expect her to work 3 jobs on top of paying the rent while they lounge on a plush sofa and watch TV. Women have needed males in their life and will continue to do so since they are essential to their survival and socioeconomic success. Men also require women for warmth, comfort, closeness, as well as to start families and raise kids. It has always been like way. For males who haven't been tainted and feminized by society, at least. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more manfulness.